What's up, Chris? It's Tuesday.
Tuesday, gotta love your Tuesdays. What's that song? How's that song go? I don't even know what the words are.
I
That's pretty
don't
embarrassing.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me neither. But happy Tuesday, Jay, and welcome everyone to the Practice Playbook, the show where we help firm owners and wannabe firm owners navigate the road for their modern firms. I am Chris Gino, not thumbs down, but that's my name right there. He is Jay Kimmelman over there, and we're the hosts of your show. Last week, we mostly talked about the news because there was a lot of news. And we did a quick conversation around tech stacks because Jay was on a webinar earlier in the day that day talking about tech stacks. And so today, kind of makes sense. We didn't actually plan it this way, but once I was putting the agenda together, I was like, oh yeah, pretty good connection. Today, we're going to highlight why those tech stacks can be so valuable. We'll talk about some of our favorite tools and speak to why technology can be such an important part of your firm. And more importantly, I think why technology is an important part of a future firm. Um, but before we get to talking more and more about that, let's get to the news. In IRS and tax related items, and I'm not sure if this is really where this goes, Jay, but there last week we were talking about there could be some tariffs, and then on Friday it was announced tariffs happening, and then on Monday it was like tariffs, just kidding, not actually happening, maybe maybe not at all, just kidding, sorry about that. I'm not really sure what's going on there. It seems like maybe we were right all along, Jay. We thought we were wrong, but maybe we were right all along that this was a posturing thing. And so it looks like the president has kicked out the Mexican tariffs at least for a month, and I think also I read today that the Canadian ones are also have some kind of extension associated with them now
Yep.
too. And that may have been a lot to do with the pushback that was received. Mexico, Canada, and even China, they did not really care for those tariffs and did the same type of thing. And I think that there were it's just been an interesting process. I don't know what the end result is going to be. I don't know what the final final impact is going to be. But it's just going to be a thing that we're going to have to continue to monitor, and more importantly, I think that we're going to have to continue to like try and stay ahead of for our clients to be able to provide any kind of quality advice. And that's, I think, uh, really the key takeaway. Jay, what do you think about the on again off again BOI tariff boys over here?
Well, it's
Yeah,
no different than TikTok. I mean, come on. I mean,
yeah, same thing.
sell it, don't sell it. Sell it, don't sell it. Banned,
Yeah,
not banned. Yeah, so we shall see. But the
right.
thing about it is, we got 30-day stays for Mexican tariff and for Canadian tariff, and the Chinese tariff was put in place. And the moment it was, China put a 10% tariff on all goods from the US. So I don't know what the trade balance is there, but I think it's pretty far, that
Yeah,
scale is weighted pretty. Let's get this kind of like this, with
right,
the Chinese goods, definitely outweighing the U.S. imported goods in China. But
right.
we shall see what happens. I fully expect that to happen. And this morning I put out some social media on making sure you update your landed costs because those sellers that are buying those products are going to be paying a higher price.
Yep.
And are you going to pass it along or eat that margin? Well, you got to weigh that out, and you're not going to do that if you don't know what your true landed cost is. So measure that.
Yeah, so go find that. Go find those posts. That tool. I've looked at it. It's a really cool little
Yeah.
tool. Jay, what's the best way for someone to find that to go see?
Check out Instagram under ecomj, and
Yeah,
I believe it's under ecomj on TikTok as well.
there you
Maybe
go.
ecomjhra, something like that. But yeah, you'll find
That's
it.
sounds great. Go find those posts. Watch Jay's video about tariffs, and then drop something in the comments. What's it or calculator or something like
Yeah,
that. Drop that in the comments. Get that calculator so you can take a look at what tariffs
there you go.
can mean to your you or your clients' businesses. That actually brings up an interesting point, Jay, that that I hadn't given a whole lot of thought to, but I was talking to a banker for one of my clients earlier this week, and they do a lot of business in Mexico,
Right.
um, and I thought it was interesting because they one of the people that was on the banking team is their like foreign exchange guy. He's specific to in this case because they're transacting in peso a lot. He and I have had several conversations about like, do we need to have future looking contracts and all that kinds of thing. And one of the things that he mentioned is like, you don't really think about it, but if a tariff is on everything, like if you're just broadly putting a tariff that's maybe not, is it just on goods? Or what about if you're buying services from Mexico? So what if you're outsourcing to a team in
Mm.
Mexico? Are you now needing to pay a tariff on this? There was some uncertainty about this, right? And whether or not there was some extra exposure there for companies that maybe outsourcing to Mexico as well. So
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah,
I
I thought
am.
it.
Yeah, it's curious, but my initial thought, and this could be wrong, is
You know,
it's only for goods
hope so.
because the services don't cross the border and go through customs,
That's right.
which is where
And
the
so
fees are, the tariffs are
success.
levied. Yeah,
Yep. I think
it's a
that's
good
great.
thought, though. Yeah,
Yeah, no, and it's just an extra thing to think about. Like sometime, and I guess what you'd say is like you don't always think about all the repercussions and ramifications of something like this when you're just spouting off about it. And sometimes those things go a lot deeper than what you were expecting originally. And so I think that's just a good
yeah.
reminder of that. Um, in actual tax news, Jay, a Biden administration like carry forward that put into place like an appeals process got actually codified at the IRS this week. I think
Interesting.
I don't know if it just took a long time for this to happen, but there's an independent office of appeals that was created by these new rules that should help in the appeals process. I think as we've talked about here before, like when the IRS has put new things in place, typically those things are good. Being able to go through the appeals process fast. I've never been through an appeals issue, but Jay, I can imagine that if you got into that situation, you'd want that process to be quick. You'd want it to be efficient and speedy, and you'd want to get that accelerated if you could. So it seems
Most
like
definitely.
having an office that's dedicated to that seems like a pretty good thing. Um, what do you? I know you may not have had a whole lot of time to like sit around and read all the news articles, Jay, but do you think what do you think about this?
No, I think it's good to have that because
Right,
appeals could take a very long time.
right,
And, if you have that process, if it can roll through it, if an agent that you're speaking to can pull out that process and do it, expedite things and get you through that process much quicker.
yeah. So
Especially if it
good
gets
job.
codified, because it's in the regs, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a good thing. Nice to see. Jay, I in my Feedly feed, I don't just get U.S. tax related stuff. I also sometimes get things from the U.K. Accounting Web is a UK news feed that I like poke into every once in a while as well, and sometimes makes the news here. And interestingly, I guess there's a January 31st tax deadline in the UK. Um, and it just highlighted for me that here in the United States, we're not the only people that have issues getting our taxes done timely. In the UK, there were 1.1 million missed returns. People did not file timely in the UK.
I'm very
So it's
curious what
not
the
just
penalties are there.
I think I do think that that's an interesting thing. I did not read that in the article, but I did see that we're not the only ones with tax filing timeliness issues. But it
Yeah.
is really interesting to know, right, that at least in the UK, you can definitely get it done by January 31st because everybody has. So I wonder if that means that their rules are a little less complex. My guess is yes. Um, and that maybe it's a little bit easier to get those returns filed. But 1.1 million people is still a lot. And that's, and especially I think, I don't know how big the UK is these days, but I'm guessing um, like
I
it's a reasonably sized percentage.
I'm pretty sure the UK went through a make tax digital process a few years ago,
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
which means all income is already reported to the IRS. So you're probably just matching what they already have on file
Right,
and then paying what you're due, what they're owed.
right. Yeah, that feels
Probably
right to
not
me
much of
too.
a return process.
You would not think so, and still 1.1 million people missed it. So maybe don't feel that bad if you can't get done by April 15th. Maybe that's a good thing to highlight here. Is the April 15th deadline is a as a payment deadline. It's not a it can be extended. So just know that you're not gonna get audited immediately on the 16th
It's
of
a
April
suggestion.
because you didn't file on time. Um, in other surprises, Jay, I'm sure you're aware, but not everybody was, that there was a reduction for the filing requirements for 1099K, which were all issued on Friday. And a bunch of gig workers weren't aware of those new thresholds. And so there's been a small little uproar around this new $2,500 threshold, which will decrease yet again to $600, I think, going forward. It had been $20,000. And so I guess people that were working on the side for Uber, getting paid by Venmo or whatever, like they just kept getting that money on the side and weren't really reporting it. That's kind of what it seems like. And they were like, "Oh, what's this thing? What do you mean 1099? I'm not really excited about this." And so it sounds like there are some people that are intending to maybe massage the system or on a going forward basis, but which was a very disappointing reminder to me of why the 1099s are a valuable thing. I have a stance on this that filing 1099s is a really lousy thing to put a burden on the payer for, right? That person already paid money. Why are
Yeah.
they now tasked with a secondary burden? And maybe a more effective IRS would be able to clean up these types of problems of people not reporting their income. Um, but this is the reason why. This is the reason why they want to know. There's definitely a lot of people out there that get cash from different sources that
Yeah.
doesn't make it into their tax returns.
So funny you should say that. There are countries around the globe where every transaction is reported to the government. I know I
Yeah.
said UK and making taxes digital, but there is what's called a Jiffy code on every invoice in Canada. If somebody
Mm,
gets paid, the I, I don't even know what it's called there. It's not the Internal Revenue, but the Canadian Revenue Service is notified, so they know about it. And you know, here in the U.S., they put the onus on the payer to send this out. But if you don't, and let's say I paid you $1,000 and I forgot to send you a 1099, it's still up to you to report that $1,000.
right.
And even if that $1,000 was $650 for services and $350 for reimbursements, I still send you a 1099 for $1,000.
That's right.
So there it is. Um, it's the business owner, and yeah, it's part of your responsibility of being a business owner to reconcile it. Now, if you want to ignore it, that's your business. Just don't tell your tax preparer about it, because if you do, we are going to get on your butt and make sure we file it until you either get the documents or you tell us how much you made. And ultimately, that's why every business should have an accounting platform. Make it easy, record it all, and don't screw around. It's not worth it.
No, just
It's
not.
truly not worth it.
And I was actually talking to one of our team members about this today. In that, um, if you take the time, if as an accounting professional, right, if you take the time to be proactive and continue to maintain the records associated with this process is not all that challenging, right? You're really just doing reporting. As long as you've got all the right information, it should be relatively
Yeah.
easy. So,
For the average business, though, and I know I'm going to get up on
soapbox land.
the,
Let's
on the
go.
soapbox here,
Let's
but
go.
The thing about it is, as a business owner, I either pay you with a credit card, PayPal, or if I'm paying you from my bank account, you're giving me a W-9 before I pay you.
That's right.
So that is it. And, I talk to new people, brand new getting into business. You want to pay them from your bank account? Pay them on a debit card. That's just a payment system payment.
Yeah, there
I
you
mean,
go.
so, and some that could be confused because it does come through the bank account. But, you know, debit card, credit card, PayPal. And that way you never have to worry about a 1099 ever again.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Now, other positive IRS news, if you can believe this, this is not the thing that I thought was going to happen today, but but Jay, it was really, really timely that this article came out because I think you've got a story related to this.
Yeah.
There was an Accounting Today article this week that the IRS service is improving. So we've been having better service, but of course, timeliness issues still remain, and they still have a way to go. Right? They're not perfect. You're not. My wife was talking about. I think she went to maybe Sephora or somewhere, right, and had just like the best customer service experience. And and the IRS is not that, right? Like let's not fool around here. They're not You're not getting a white glove service directly from the IRS. Getting exactly the thing you need right away. But they are getting better. Jay, my understanding is you've got a story about this. I know you didn't tell me the whole thing, but I
Yeah.
know you had a positive, and I think it was an IRS story, but I'm not sure. So I'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah, it really sounds strange. It does not sound like it should go together. But you might recall a couple of weeks ago, I got a letter from the IRS asking for another 60 days to handle my
Mhm.
issue. Well, that issue had been going on since 2021. So obviously it's not taking care of it timely. And
Yeah.
so yesterday I get, actually, it was even worse than getting mail. It was a certified letter that interrupted me on a client call. I had to leave the client call, go to the door, and it was a certified letter. And actually, it is right here. Notice of intent to seize or levy for the same issue that I got the letter for that said they needed 60 more days. So, you know what? I said, fuck this. I got on the phone. It was like, what, 2 in the afternoon? I'm like,
Yes.
I'm gonna have an hour, 2 hour wait. Damn it! They answered in less than 2 minutes. Got
Let's
right
go.
through. Normally, when
Yep.
that happens, though,
Get disconnected.
they put you on, yeah, they put you on the first hold or the second hold, and hello, disconnected. I was put on 7 holds yesterday.
Woo.
7 holds, and actually, I had 2 situations just like this because the payroll provider that I was using did not appropriately mark or check a box on the 941s
Oh
for
no.
my tax exempt child for my sole
Mm.
proprietorship. So that wonderful $12,000, tax break ended up
Right.
costing me hours on the phone with the IRS.
Uh,
But it took 4 holds to get the first one done and the levy dropped, and 3 more holds to get the other one dropped. So there you go. And she said it will take between 3 to 5 weeks to process. And about 10 to 15 days after that, I should be receiving a letter. So, you know, come around April, April, I'll be getting some letters. Hopefully, it's not
here's a,
another
here's
letter saying they're going to need another 60 days. So, yeah, I was very, very pleased that this got taken care of.
yeah.
And given the state of the IRS at this point, I was not expecting an answer yesterday.
Yeah.
And when I said that, I mean,
Amazing.
I didn't expect my phone call to be answered. yet alone get my issue resolved. And I was very pleasantly surprised. So I will
Good
take
job with
that
you there.
and I will
Yeah,
run with it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
for
So again,
sure.
the IRS service is improving. Still seven holds, not not resolved in the first one, right? But getting better, right?
All
So
right.
again,
So let's, we have some stuff here, but let's really talk about that. So I was on with one rep, and they're like, "Yeah, the reason we have to put you on these holds is we have three different systems we have to go into just to get one piece of information. They have to
mm,
go here, then they go there, then they got to match it up, and then go over there. And it's like, so we have new technology going in, yet the old technology just still sucks. So
yeah,
maybe Elon and his band of merry men will get that fixed.
yeah, nice little
Maybe.
SQL database or something, Jay. Like something that references itself and puts the
Yeah.
data you need right in the same page.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of
maybe a
nice.
little Fox Pro going on over there.
Yeah,
Who
there you
knows?
go.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll be using Agent Force or something.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe,
I mean,
maybe we'll see. But
but
absolutely,
but I will guarantee you, next year we'll all be paid by XPay. So there you go.
yeah, that is
Story for
a
another day.
sad potential reality. um, Jay, I think that's good, a great spot to end the IRS and tax related news. On a positive note, go IRS, keep up that
Uh,
service improvements.
I have
Um,
one more piece that I didn't see here.
ooh, all right, let me hear
So
it.
if you follow Tax Girl on social,
Mm.
so parts of the Internal Revenue Manual are disappearing.
No.
Yes. So there are
Why?
parts that are related to DEI efforts at the IRS that are disappearing, and there
No.
are parts associated to the offers and compromise section that are disappearing.
Mm.
So I don't know what the impetus of that is. Are they rewriting it, or is it just going bye bye? So
Or did they
the
just
end,
like cut the link to that page and it's just like existing in
yeah,
in active page and
right,
once they lift the DEI freeze, they'll just put the link back in and
yeah,
be good to go.
yeah,
Who knows?
yeah.
I guess I guess
So
we'll find
yeah,
out. But
we shall find out there. But
yeah,
this is the manual that the agents use and tax professionals use. So
yeah,
it's many pages, but apparently it's
right.
about half the size now.
Yeah, so it is interesting to know that. I know that there have been lots of government web pages that have kind of vanished, and so I don't know what impact that'll have on taxpayers or on tax professionals. But hopefully you've got your paper copy of the tax manual and you can go find those sections if you need them, that kind of thing. And that was actually the tax news. In other accounting news, there's not a whole lot of it. In the acquisition and financing corner, there was a very boring Baker Tilly buys Hancock to add a little space. A couple others on the Accounting Today roundup. I'm sorry to both those firms, Platform and the other one. Sorry, double sorry that I don't remember your name. But your acquisitions were pretty boring. I'm sorry. In slightly less boring, not quite acquisition news, but BPM, which is a top 50 accounting firm, they have started their own global network, and so I thought that was an interesting thing because I know when you think about PE, right? As PE, if you think about what PE is intending to do, right? You're buying one firm, maybe buying another firm, maybe buying another firm, and continuing to expand your reach. Is a global network just an alternative way to do that, where you can now have resources. And in this case, their first partner is Inspira, which is in Australia. So BPM is partnering with this firm in Australia as part of their global network.
Hmm.
And so as that continues to grow, does that just give you resources around the world where basically you're funding your own PE? I think that was an interesting development that I mean, obviously the gigantic firms like Deloitte and RSM and BDO and all these guys, they have like global networks. Like, why not BPM? Um, so so I don't know, Jay. I don't know if you even care about this at all, but I thought it was at least an interesting development.
No, it's a great way to work and have a referral network, have other vertical and complementary industries that work with you. You
Right.
can have them as partners, and it's a pretty good method. And you don't have to either invest or be invested in order to make that work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I think this was an interesting development, and I'll be interested to see and follow how BPM does with this, and how active their global network becomes.
Yeah.
In other accounting related news, we talked last week about how the AICPA and NASBA were starting to have talks about maybe adding another alternative path in the state of Illinois. They followed right along, and they've introduced an an alternative path to CPA solutions for them. So exciting news out of Illinois. Um, and then in an interesting accounting, I don't know, it's kind of funny because it's so relevant from what actually happened. But Tesla added a $600 million to their net income for this period because of a mark to market adjustment. They changed their accounting for their Bitcoin, which I think is a really interesting thing. Obviously, Tesla is kind of in the background of a lot of news because of their owner, and picking up 600 million is a pretty big pickup. But it does highlight once again a couple different things, at least from my perspective. The first one is that accounting for cryptocurrency and digital assets is still definitely unclear. If you're just making a change right now to market, why now versus other times, and how much flexibility do we have with this, right? Are you electing an accounting alternative? I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened here is that
Mm-hmm.
that FASB has given some accounting options, and they just elected this new option for going forward. Um, but I do think it is again a reminder that the accounting rules around this are unclear, and that means that especially in companies that own a lot of digital assets or cryptocurrency, that if you're trying to compare them to other companies with similar holdings, you want to make sure you understand exactly what kind of valuations are happening. And then if you're doing the accounting for companies that own or hold digital assets, you want to make sure that you understand what their policy is intended to be. And certainly you can also advise them that you need to make an election and you need to stick with it and all of those kinds of things as well. So there's more to there's more complexity to cryptocurrency and digital assets than just buying it, letting it grow, and making a bunch of money on speculating or whatever. But it can be complicated. So know that, and make sure that your clients understand that as well if they start to make investments. Jay, any thoughts on a cool $500 million going to Tesla's net income from Bitcoin gains?
So, but these are ghost gains. They're not realized gains.
That's right. Yeah, these would be ghost gains, your unrealized gains. So your comprehensive income, not your regular income. Nice,
Right.
fun stuff there.
So
As if it wasn't complex enough.
why would somebody want to mark that up at any point?
That would be the question that I would ask. So there's a couple different things. The first one, right, is it does give your balance sheet a little bit better picture, right?
Right.
So if you market to market, your balance sheet now does look more like what you could get fair value for. And so if
Mm-hmm.
this thing is a thing like Bitcoin that functions very similar to a security, but isn't technically one, um,
Right.
like that gives you a better picture of what your balance sheet looks like, how many assets you truly have at a point in time. So that for me is the reason why you would do this. And that's actually kind of it is a policy change, right? Because the original way that this policy worked or that accounting for cryptocurrency worked, is if you bought it, you held it as an intangible asset. And
Mm-hmm.
that meant that you held it at what you bought it for,
Right.
and you'd only impair it. You'd never write it up. And so you'd have all of this. You'd have potentially all of this Bitcoin that was sitting on your balance sheet, but that nobody knew the value of. And you could have, yeah, I mean, if you bought all these Bitcoins for 50 cents or something a long time ago, like a decade or 2 decades ago, like you could just have like a mountain of Bitcoin that was valued at like a couple $100, where you really have the capacity to buy
Yeah.
X.
And in reality,
Um,
it'd be $1 billion.
right, exactly.
Right.
And so I think, especially with an asset like this, marking to market just makes your balance sheet more reasonable looking. because you're not like hiding those ups and downs
Right.
that are realistic to what your like capital position is, at least as your like working capital position is.
Yeah.
So
And I get that. You get the clarity and the transparency in the balance sheets. That's
I,
all really good. But,
yeah.
we've applied that, and yet we've had pushback over taxing unrealized gains.
Hmm.
And so it's probably apples and oranges, but, just curious.
Well, I think it's an interesting. I do think it's an interesting thing to think about, right? Like it is an accounting conundrum because especially when you have that much Bitcoin, like you especially I don't know, Jay. We were talking about this earlier this week. The cryptocurrency market is a little bit volatile right now,
Yep.
because there was a lot of activity. There are a lot of sell-off activity in the cryptocurrency market yesterday,
Yep.
and some things like Bitcoin like dropped by 20%, and then like maybe recovered another 10% of it, right? So like
Right.
it because of that volatility, like that's why this maybe doesn't make any sense,
Right.
because now next quarter like you could conceivably have a $600 million loss, which then like really distorts what your income statement looks like, or
Right.
your comprehensive statement of income. Like it could look like really really weird, and and it's stuff like that too that gets that I think eventually like um, really caused Silicon Valley all that trouble, a couple years ago, however long ago that's been now,
Hmm.
where they had some assets, but they just they weren't as good as they looked,
Right.
and so like that the way that they were accounting for them caused them some problems as well, the way they were managing them. So I think it's similar here, but you do introduce this variability, in the comprehensive income statement, which kind of sucks, but at the same time is realistic to what's happening on your balance sheet,
Right.
because
Right.
your purchasing power changes significantly, with a significant change in the value of Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like I said, the most important thing here to understand is this accounting can potentially be complex, and so because of that, it's really important to understand both what you hold, what the nature of what you hold
Hmm.
is, and to be consistent in your application of the accounting for it, for sure. And Jay, that is the accounting news. And then it was a very, very shallow tech news week. Last week we talked about DeepSeek, the new Chinese competitor to OpenAI's ChatGPT and Perplexity and all of those guys. Someone did a test on DeepSeek and found that DeepSeek was on par with ChatGPT, Claude, Llama, and all of those other things as it comes to evaluating and doing accounting. Now, I didn't read this article like the whole way, but it kind of made me think, like, does that mean it's just really bad at it? Because isn't that's my understanding of the GPT and Claude are just not very good at doing math. So I'm guessing DeepSeek is just right with them in having an area for improvement there, I guess. Um, but it was not surprising to see that this tool was also on par with the others when it comes to like accounting thought.
Yeah. I mean, they all still hallucinate. No matter what you're doing, you still get the occasional answer that's like, wow, that's out there. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Jay, did you get the chance to play with DeepSeek over the weekend?
I have not, no, but I did watch an automation that somebody did that
Yeah.
they used DeepSeek to do was it the front end or the back end? I think it was the front end. It basically did two AI searches. On the front end, it took an issue. DeepSeek set it up and set up the stages and the different paths it was going to take.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
And then it went to the next step, and ChatGPT wrote some things, and then from there, it created emails and other tasks, and it was amazing. You use both
Yeah,
of them to get it done, and yeah, it looked really phenomenal. And maybe I wanted to stop what I was doing and start building it right away. If I only had the time to do that, I would have done it.
right. I do think that that is that's actually a really interesting use case that I haven't really given much thought to. Like I mostly just use ChatGPT when I'm using these language models, but using them in conjunction together
Yeah,
is a really cool sounding idea. Like when you take if you took the model that does the best at this and the model that does the best at
yep.
that, and you just like took all the bests of all of them, what a good strategy. And so as
And if you,
we
what I was going to say is, if you think of building out your paths and your workflow in DeepSeek, you're not giving it any company secrets or anything like that, where
yeah,
it can go directly to the Chinese government. You're kind of keeping it safe that way. Yeah.
right, yeah. No, I think that's definitely true too. So be thoughtful of that as well. um, so the only other like tech news that I saw that I thought was of much interest, Jay, or that we didn't talk about last week, it was kind of there were a couple. The Mailchimp thing came up again, and then Deloitte's their consulting AI item came up again as well. But
Yeah.
Acumatica added some AI tools, and so this is again a thing that I want to highlight and want to continue to remind people as they've announced AI Studio and their new AI Lab for customer feedback and those kinds of things. And so as these accounting platforms begin and continue to introduce these AI features, you'll see everybody continue to do it, I think. And so know that it won't be that long before whatever accounting system you're using has a really effective feature here, like Acumatica is introducing. Whether that's effective or not, I guess, is a different matter. But certainly a new feature that I think is interesting to see. Jay, any thoughts on that?
No, I'd love to see it though.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I hear that. So we'll see what happens when it actually gets out. And that, Jay, was the news. What I miss?
I think you got it. We're good.
That's right. All right.
Yep.
And so when we think about the practice playbook and our whole intention with the practice playbook, our goal is to highlight for firm owners and potential firm owners, people like me that have an interest in making the best decisions for the companies that they work for. And so what we think is the easiest and best way to do that is through automations, and that starts with assessing your own like digital tools, right? Because one of the things that we know to be the case is that um, older model accounting firms, paper-based accounting firms, they're just not long for this world. They're going to be replaced by cloud-based solutions, and so if you're not doing things in cloud-based solutions already, you're just going to be behind. But
Yep.
one of the most important impacts and aspects of that is in client relationships. And sure, there's the retiree that loves to bring in all of their paperwork. Sure, that person exists. They're real. But most of our clients are embracing and interacting with technology in the same way that we are. And so they're seeing all of these things. They're understanding that Claude is out there. They're maybe doing some searching on DeepSeek, and they want their interactions with us to be similar to that, right? They want them to be easy, they want them to be seamless, and they want them to be valuable. And so the easiest and most effective way to do that is to adopt those technologies and make sure that you're using them in a way that your clients find valuable, right? And so there can be lots of pain points that you run into along the way. And so naturally, Jay, people know that, and and technology companies have introduced different options that can help to help resolve that pain in real time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing to do there, the first place to start is like in the in your like practice management. And so there are definitely a bunch of different tools out there. Jay, we've included a couple here. Here at High Rock, we use Keeper, which is a closed management tool, also a document retention tool that helps to connect you directly with your clients. Right, it's a good thing to help to manage both internal and client related workflows. So it can be really helpful in doing that. Other tools like that, and are companies that people have heard a lot about. I'm sure Karbon is one of those. Jay,
Mhm.
did you use Karbon before?
I have used Carbon back in
Well, like
2013.
an early
I
adopter.
was I was a very early adopter.
Yeah,
My team had some issues with it, and we bailed.
yeah.
Um,
What did
but
what did Karbon do well?
what did it do well? What it did well, and it still does well, is its email triage. It
Hmm.
basically connects to Gmail and Office 365, pulls into your
Hmm.
email, and you can read it, discard it, or save it. Assign it to a client, assign it to work, and that's one of the things that did really, really great. The
Yeah.
issues that we had, the way it threaded it, you had to make a job. If you made a job on an email thread, at that point, it did it on the first email, and then
Hmm.
there was an email in the middle of that thread that had detail, and we couldn't find it. It made it so difficult to find things like that.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I am now using it with our new tax partners,
Yeah.
and I'm enjoying it. I mean, granted, my triage is getting full because I have a lot of things to do during the day, and want
Sure.
to keep an eye on my work over there. Although that's going to be changing here soon, as we are picking up here, so I got
Right.
to pay attention to it. But I still think the premise of it is really good, and yeah, if all things considered, I stayed using it way back when. Be a different story today. Might be very different because they were building that platform a specific way, and they were taking input. But at this point, I might have been able to twist our arm a little bit to make those changes. But it's a
Right.
great team over there, and have a long, deep relationship with them. So
Yeah, great. Well, one other task management and or team collaboration tool that we wanted to mention today is Jetpack. I've also not used Jetpack. Have you used Jetpack, Jay?
dabbled with it.
Yeah.
Their owner is a really good friend to the industry. He's had his fingers on the pulse for a long time. I was in
Right.
LinkedIn earlier and I saw him in there, always talking about workflow and firms and things that can be done and making things better. So, yeah, thank you,
Right.
David, for what you've done for the industry.
Right. Well, there you go. The once you build out some workflows and use tools like this to do that, right? Those are your direct interfaces with your clients, but they're not
Yeah.
the only thing that your client wants in real time. Obviously, they also want to be able to access the data that underlies your accounting records so that they can make those decisions, right? And so there are a few different tools that we wanted to highlight when it comes to data access and decision making tools, because you want that to be seamless as well, and you also want it to be. And Jay, this is going to sound like a silly thing to say, but you want it to be pretty. Like you want the interface to be nice,
Yeah.
um,
It's got to
and
be
you want it
aesthetically pleasing.
right, right, and that's why I'm so excited that Xero has chosen blue, and not like some other like ugly color, because obviously
Right?
Xero, we talk about Xero here a lot on the show, but that's because they are a cloud-based accounting software with a very
Right.
pretty interface that's easy to use and allows real-time financial data visibility, as well as like bank feeds and integrations and all of that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
helps to make it easy to find the information that you need so you can make those timely decisions. Um, Jay, do you want to give a Xero spiel, or do you want to just move on to the next one?
You did a good job. Yeah. I mean, I prefer Zero over its competitors, and
Sure.
I've been using it since 2012. Can't
Right.
say anything more about that. So
Yeah.
go Zero.
Wonderful. Yep. And New Zero and Another like reporting and forecasting tool is Fathom. Fathom connects directly to accounting software like Xero, and can give you real time financial insights. And obviously, there's loads and loads of these. One other that we want to shout out here is Sift. Sift obviously does that same type of thing. Helps to do that financial reporting and allows you to be able to see that information and give it to your clients in real time and in a pretty way.
Yeah,
Jay, do you
thing
have
that
any?
I love about Sift is you could build live dashboards and give them to your
Yeah,
clients. And as soon
right,
as the platform gets updated, they're not connected to Sift. They just have the dashboard, and that
right,
those KPIs and that data is live over there. And
right.
that's probably one of the reasons why Zero made the investment in Sift.
Yeah, sure.
It's just a great platform, and I've watched that one grow too. And I had a very very early demo from the CEO, and
Yeah,
he did so much there, and it's nice to see him come this far.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that is great. I couldn't remember if the purchase or the combination or partnership or whatever it is. I couldn't remember if that was public. So, so I was like, oops, better gotta remember. Um, Obviously, reporting and financial reporting is important, and so finding a good dashboarding partner and a good financial reporting partner is critical in being able to give people the insights and key information that they need to make good decisions. But one of the other things, especially in the tax area, that you absolutely have to have is document collaboration. And so you have to have an area where you can collect and categorize financial information of all kinds of different sorts. And especially as we're working with a different partner now, like we're running into that problem of what is the best tool for this and how can we manage and make sure that number one, everything is secure. Number two, it's easy to see and easy to navigate. What kinds of things can we do to make sure that our clients are having a good experience in just uploading the basic documents that we need, right? And so there are a few tools that we want to highlight that can help you with this. We've already kind of mentioned a couple of them, right? Keeper has some of this
yep,
integrated into it, right? I'm sure Karbon probably does as well.
yep,
But
sure
things like
does.
Dext and HubDoc, they automate the collection and categorization of financial documents, which does help to reduce manual data entry and is a really important thing, right? Um, Canopy, which I recognize the name of, Jay, but I don't know much about. Um, which is a, could you do you have some Canopy experience too? It feels like every one of these
Yes, I
you've
used
before.
Canopy for a while.
Yeah.
If you know me, I've probably used most of these platforms.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I used Canopy way back when, and Canopy
Yeah.
was an up and coming tax platform that
Yeah.
shifted, and now they are workflow management, and yeah, they have a document collecting tool, and it's good.
Does the job, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does the job. Yeah.
Right. And then of course you could go to the most basic things like Dropbox or Google Drive, that allow you to just have basic cloud storage, and even like specific sharing and communication channels, especially in Google. That can be really powerful.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's really important to know that if you are using Google Drive and Dropbox and Box.com, there are certain subscription levels you have to have and a few other hoops you have to jump through to ensure you have the security that you need. And
yeah,
so, make sure you do that due diligence before jumping in there.
Yeah, and that's definitely a big pitfall and a thing to be really thoughtful of. We haven't done the full on cybersecurity episode yet on the practice playbook, but it's out there. It's coming eventually, and it's a really important thing to be thoughtful of. And those decisions matter when you're choosing your tech stack partners as well. One other area where that can be important is in your communication channels. And so like digital communication is just like second nature for me these days, right? I spend half my time in Outlook and the other half in Teams, and then the third half of my time, which sounds absurd, but third half in Slack. Right? There are all these different ways to communicate with people that are these digital options outside of, I don't know, like whatever traditional communication methods would be: mail, phones, whatever those are.
Yeah.
So it is it is a really important thing to be thoughtful about because there is so much of the accounting profession that's built on relationships, and those relationships mean that like you have to have some level of engagement. And so, as much as we do love to like automate communication and make things easy, you don't want to do that too much and just be a robot to your clients. Like you want them to see who you are, and you want them to understand, things about you and how you communicate. And there are a few platforms and a few that I've already mentioned, right, that are pretty good at this. Obviously, here at High Rock, we use a couple of them. We use Teams for our internal working, right? That that We use Microsoft 365, so it's built right in. Lots and lots and lots of companies use Slack. Slack's really popular in the startup space. I'm pretty sure, right? And so it makes for a very easy communication tool if those are your clients, because then you can just be connected to them directly and have that open communication channel for them. And then things like and Jay, I hadn't heard of this one, so I'd love to hear more about. Oh, you haven't either.
I hadn't either, but I had to check
Oh,
it
okay.
out.
All right. So this last one was ClientSuccess.com, and so I've not heard of ClientSuccess, but it sounds like both Jay and I will be looking into it to find out a little bit more about how
Well,
they.
it
Uh,
shows up later down in another section of this, and so I did look at it a little bit, and
oh,
it
okay.
is a client portal. It is
No.
a collaboration tool. It is to help gain insights. So it's got a lot going on with it, and
Oh,
I'm
okay.
surprised I'd never heard of it before. But I'm
Yeah.
sure before the week is over, I'll have a working trial.
That sounds about right. Um, now, now when you the communication on its own is really valuable, right? You need to be able to say, what's the status of this, or where can I find this, or here's your financial statements. Let's have a conversation on this day. Like those are all really important things that you can do through these communication platforms. But it's also important to be able to train and support both your clients and your teams. And so there are a few different areas where we think it can be valuable for that as well. Because anytime you're introducing new technology, like you want to make sure people know how to work it. You want to make that process easy, and again, you want to use the skills that you have as an advisor to make that seamless, to give your own voice to the way that conversation goes, and that can be done through a variety of different channels. One of those is Trainual. Jay, have you ever used Trainual?
I've been on it before. I've taken
Mm-hmm.
a course provided by somebody else, but
Yeah,
I've never used it internally
yeah.
myself. No.
I haven't either, but I know that it is a really powerful tool because it does give you this opportunity to bundle everything together, to
Yeah.
see it all in one platform, and that makes it really easy to understand where you can find information, and and also can allow you to like lay out the different steps. I think that was a really cool thing about Trainual as well.
Yeah.
Um, if you're doing video walkthroughs, one of the best tools, if you're not using it already, is Loom. Loom is great for making a recording, sharing a screen, showing here we now that you're on this particular platform. Let's go through the steps of where you need to see, what you need to look at, how you need to run the report that you want to see, right? That data-driven dashboard that you want to see. Here we've set it up for
Hmm.
you based on the conversations that we've had. Now here's how you can find it, and here's how you can refresh it, and here's how you can go to it every day. Loom can be really, really powerful for those types of things. And unlike an email that says do this, this, and this, Loom is very personal because it just includes your video right there in the Loom. So right there in the deliverable, you're included, and that can be great for onboarding because you can use the same video again and like, welcome to our team. Here's the things you need to know about us,
Yep.
um, and also for internal training. So it can be really important for that as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So I would also throw in there with Loom, Zoom and Teams as well, because you could
mm,
deliver them live and then record it, and then it lives on forever. So
yeah,
those are there as well. And the last part of this that I would add in there is another tool we use called Scribe.
yeah,
So, you basically tell it what you're doing and it writes out a process for you. And it's pretty
right.
cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it can show clicks and all those different things as well. Scribe is a really good tool for those types of things too. If you have action steps that need to happen, Scribe is really good about showing that. And then Jay, there's a couple that I'm 100% certain that you're familiar with. That would be Zapier University and Make.com Academy that can help to train people on how to use these automation tools. How much time have you spent in Zapier University, Jay?
I don't believe I've ever been on Zapier University. It's
What?
possible it's newer. When
Oh
I
yeah.
went through my certification, I don't think it was on Zapier University. So that's newer than what I've used.
All
And
right.
Make.com, I was on that last year, beginning of the year last year, about a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I found a couple other sources of education that are better, but yeah. Uh,
Right.
but
And now introducing all these tools and showing your clients all these ways to interact with you and interact with you more effectively. They're only so powerful if you're just using them. If you want though to get a satisfaction score or get some client reporting or some return on investment information related to these, there's a couple other tools that can be really valuable in understanding how you're doing. This is Jay, I think, where client success also comes in that they are helping you to evaluate how you're doing and make sure
mhm.
you are tracking satisfaction and your churn risk. And then, of course, I think we've done this several times, right? You can build a type form or a Google form that helps you to use easy surveys, easy feedback tools that you can populate and let people fill out for you. And so, Jay, we've talked about a lot of different technology, but I think that there's a couple of things that we really want to highlight for people. And the first one is the accounting business is built on relationships, and those relationships require touch points, connectivity, and seamless transactions. You don't want friction, right? And so,
Exactly.
all of the tools that we've talked about today help to make that process easy and help you to look more seamless to your clients. And so as you're considering implementing these tools, it's important to think about that and what you want that client experience to look like. Um, Jay, do you have any final thoughts about how we're going from an older age into a newer age? I know you've been in the new age for 20 something years now, so this is old hat for you.
Yeah. So, you know, we as accountants hate change. We live on the bleeding edge of technology, and we need to accept it and implement it. But we think that our clients can't handle the change. And you know what? They can, and they can do it very well. Uh, my brother has a CPA firm here in Orlando, and they just went digital. They set up TaxDome, and they sent everything out via TaxDome. And there were 160 clients assigned to my brother, and every one of them clicked off that their tax organizer's been completed. So they could do it. They just went too far and did it too early. So, yeah, that comes down to having the conversations, setting expectations, making sure that the clients understand what's being asked of them, and they're willing to do it. Just let them do it. They want it. They want to use that new technology.
Right.
So embrace it, embrace the clients, and embrace the clients using the new technology.
Absolutely. And Jay, I think that's probably a great spot to end. Did you come up with any fancy automations over the weekend?
I
Or are you
did
still
not.
working through them? Yeah. Yeah. No automation
Yeah.
of the week this week.
So
We'll.
I couldn't sit in my office all weekend. I couldn't come in here.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
chair was
okay.
broken.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, my chair was broken, and the chair I was using was so uncomfortable. I ended up at the chiropractor yesterday, but now I'm back, and it's a little dark in here, but a little moonlight work might be good. But yeah,
There you go. There you go. Well, of course, we'll be here again next Tuesday to talk through the whatever has happened in the accounting world, as well as some other thoughts around how you can improve your business. We thank you for watching with us today, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Make sure you, like Jay mentioned, the most important thing that you can do here is to execute it and try, because people are going to adopt it more seamlessly and effectively than you think, and
For
and
sure.
and it will become valuable for you. If it's not important for you already, it's definitely going to be as we continue to move forward into the digital age even further, or whatever. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see
Have
you on
a
the next one.
great week, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.